be able to show you my lap now. Okay, she's 6 months old today too. Come here, over here. Come here. Come here. All right, stop. Stop. Sit. Over here. See, look. See? No, okay, back here. Back here. See? See? Okay, come on. 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 Stop your barking. Stop. Come here. Okay, fine. There you go. See? It's the best I can do for now. I have to find a chair or something I can get her to jump up into next to me for a minute. So, yeah, she's 6 months today. She's so big. All right, I can turn this light up now. Okay. All right. Let's put chat on here. Let me get over to the YouTube stream. Make sure I'm muted. All right. Make sure I'm muted on Kick. I am now. Okay. Oh, now you want to come back and say hi? I see how you are. Okay. Hey, everyone. Hey, Elizabeth. Pouring. It's raining where I'm at. It's not pouring so much. I just took her out and I didn't get too wet, but it's kind of misty and rainy out. It's been like that for a while, like most of the night. Hi, Autistic Shill. Hi, Steffi. Hi, Reagan. Hi, Nana Hawk. Hey, Rarely Care. Thank you, Autistic Shill. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the whole Veda thing, Jay thing. I will say this much though. Veda has shown me time and again to just sit back and wait. So that's what I'm gonna do. Hey, Ali R. Hey, Skate Positive. Hey, little red y'all. What's up? Hey, Kara. Thank you. I know. It took me like all of like maybe 90 seconds to make the thumbnail. I'm like, holy shit, I might be getting good at this. I still hate it, but I might be getting good at it. Hey, Peter. Hi, Jane. Hey, Sad Truths from the rabbit hole of YouTube. Greetings. That's cute. All right. So real quick, I mentioned something about making a new drink tonight, and that is what I'm going to do. Why is this? That might be a little better. Is it better? Let me see. I don't know, maybe it is. Okay. We'll just leave it there. Actually, it's easier for you all to see if I put on a little bit more lighting. Just turn it down. There we go. All right. So this drink is called, actually, I don't remember what we called it. I think it's like the Smirnoff Firecracker or something like that. It's not a martini. I know, right? I'm actually going to make something that's not a fucking martini, right? Anyway, so the only liquor you need for this is your Smirnoff, red, white, and berry. So your berry vodka that's perfectly gimmicked and marketed to make all kinds of great money on the 4th of July. And blue curacao. See, now this was one of the first drinks I learned at the restaurant I'm at. And when I asked some of my coworkers how to make it, one of my coworkers gave me an answer that just didn't sound right. So I'm going to go with my gut here. I think I remember how we made it. If not, well then fuck me. My coworker was right, and I'm an asshole. So, ow. Okay. So, you also need grenadine, but this isn't a liquor or booze or alcohol, or whatever. So you're going to take a glass. Now, we use the hurricane glasses. This is the closest I have to a hurricane glass. So that's what I'm using. So you're going to pour grenadine in the glass first. So you want to put it right about there. If it's I don't know, like maybe 1/5 of the length of the glass or something. So you leave that. Then you want to fill it with ice, which again, thank you so very much, Renelle Smith, for my awesome gift, because now I have a lot of cold ice just ready. So awesome. Thank you. I'm going to mute the microphone while I do this because I'm loading it right next to the microphone and I don't want to make y'all go like deaf and shit. I was going to say blind. And I remembered to unmute. Yay me. Okay. So here you have your glass full of ice. Okay. Now, this is the part where my coworkers and I kind of differ on. First, you put in the Smirnoff red, white, and berry. Well, no, this part we agree on. It's the next part. So this is supposed to come out kind of layered. So there. I don't know if you can see where the white comes up to right about here. That's all vodka right there. See, it's layered. All right. And I remember it being a little bit of lemonade. Note to self, next time I do this, open up the juices beforehand. So I at least don't look like such a moron. Okay, so I know I don't remember why I recall lemonade, but I do. I think it just helped maybe with the consistency a little bit. I don't know. And then you're going to top it off with your blue curacao. Well, almost top it off. This is the top part of the top. You got one more topping, though, after this. Yeah, that's right. This will mix a little bit, but it's all right. Still looks red, white, and blue. Okay, so here we have that. Now, here's where the fun part comes in. Because it's called a firecracker, you're going to put a firecracker. No, I'm kidding. Pop rocks. Might want to move that away from the mic a little bit. So, do that. Move the mic over. All right. And let's see. It pops all over. It's so cool. It is so cool. I love this drink. We haven't really made it in the past couple of years. It was there when I first started working there. That's about it. And then I think I started there in June, so hasn't been there since really. But voila, see. And then you put a straw in it and drink it. Do you hear it? It's so cool. I love this drink. It tastes pretty good too. Which reminds me, I don't have a straw. Wait a second. All right, cool. He's getting me a straw. All right, so there we have it. And I'll put the ingredients and everything in the description, probably after the stream. So, but there you have it. It's the Smirnoff Wild Berry Firecracker. And this isn't a sponsored video. Smirnoff doesn't even know I exist. I barely even know Smirnoff exists. I kind of like Soli better, but I'm kidding. I don't really have a preference between the two. Although I'm just more, I don't know, I guess exposed to the Stoli flavored vodkas than I am Smirnoff. So really, if I was going to pop rocks I'm hearing? Yes, those are pop rocks you're hearing. If I was going to have a favorite vodka, I think it would be Pinnacle, especially in particular the Pinnacle whipped. So, and Grey Goose. I really like Grey Goose. I kind of like gin though, like Bombay. Like there's no better tasting gin than Bombay, I don't think. Empress is kind of good, but Empress is really pretty. But Bombay tastes so good. Because I feel like if you're going to drink gin, it has to be a good gin. Can't be like Mr. Boston. No offense, Mr. Boston.
Get over there.
All right, just
here. The dogs.
That was not. What did you do? What happened? Okay, stop. What? He got me the wrong straw, and when he threw it at me, it hit something on my keyboard, and I thought that the stream stopped. And then the dog sensed my anxiety and barked. I'm in my defense. Okay, you can get over the dog. All right. So now that that's over, and I'm going to start drinking this momentarily. Wait, what was that? Oh yeah, that's right. Oh my god, I forgot. I read that on Twitter. I haven't said anything though yet. I'm sorry, Little Red. Congratulations, you bitch. I am legit though officially jealous of you, like really jealous of you, you and Renelle. So just want that to be known. But congrats.
Oh, there's a big piss ball right here in the fucking
Okay,
carpet.
that's not. Can you not? Shh. Well, clean it up then, because I just took her out.
I think I like stuffing in it.
Oh wow, that does taste good. Okay. It's a little sweet though. Although I did just drink right into the grenadine, is probably why. Although it's probably still going to be pretty sweet. Oh no, it's much better once you mix it through a little. Oh yeah, that's much better. Okay, so congrats, Little Red. Yay. Let me get back over here. All right, so hi, Randa. What else do I have here? Let's see. Hey, Jane. Hey, Tiffany. Hey, Jen Gerard. Holy shit, I haven't seen you in a while. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my god, I was reading what was I don't know if it was Nick. I think it was Nick or Dustin. One of them had posted about your previous, I guess, neighbors. Like that's some crazy shit. Oh my god. I mean, I'm thankfully they were awesome to you guys, but sadly they weren't awesome to each other. I guess I don't know. It's crazy. She is perfect. Aw. You sent me the link. What link? What link did you send me? I'm guessing Twitter. AZ and Julie and Uni break up. Oh, so sad. Thank you. No, seriously, thank you. I mean it. Thank you for sharing that with me. I don't really want to talk about. I don't know. I just don't. I feel like my stream can be. I feel like my time here on stream could be better allocated at this moment because I feel like there's much more interesting story going on. But that is something I'm going to want to touch in the very near future. So anyway, let's get talking about Katie fucking Joy. This crazy broad. I want to go to Instagram. Let's start there. So I'm sure everyone here in chat has been, for the most part, brought up to speed on Katie fucking Joy with her newest claim to victimhood fame, I guess you could say. Yeah, and that sounds fucked up, but I kind of mean that. How's this? Okay. Oh shit. Okay. So she's been kind of setting the groundwork for this for quite some time. She has come out and said repeatedly that she was not a victim of any kind of SA or childhood A or whatever, over and over again. And she definitely doesn't act like she is. She doesn't talk about it like she is. I really hate to kind of be the gatekeeper or sound like I'm the gatekeeper on shit like that because really everyone reacts to shit in their own unique way. I understand that. And Katie's no exception. I'm not saying she is. But there's unique way and then there's the exact wrong way and the way that just kind of gives you the creeps hearing her. And that's Katie Joy. That's her reaction. Okay. So this isn't just a case of someone not responding the way I would envision someone to respond to such things. No, this is the way anyone who bears witness walks away going, what the fuck did I just watch? Okay. Or hear, listen to, whatever the case may be. So given that this has been her history, whatever. She's now suddenly, and she was gearing up to this tour over the past couple of days. Where did it start? Okay, so it started some time ago, but this week started with a post from 3 days ago. We're going to start there. Let me get on over here. Okay, so here we have, she says, one question that I receive frequently is related to my religious background. While I am now an atheist, I didn't always used to be one. Here are some facts to better help you know my background. 1, I was born into a family that were members of the Catholic Church. 2, my mom attended Catholic school through her sophomore year in high school. 3, my mom met my dad at college. My dad grew up conservative Presbyterian. 4, in order to marry my mom, my dad had to convert to Catholicism for one day for the wedding and sign a document with the church that married them that he would not interfere with my mom raising their children Catholic. He promised to allow my mom to baptize and dedicate their kids to the church. 6, my mom was a Catholic school teacher and left her job shortly after having 2 kids. 5, I was baptized into the Catholic faith at 1 month old. I completed every sacrament as a child and was confirmed into the church as a member when I was 15 years old. 6, I went to public school but attended CCD catechism class every Wednesday evening through my confirmation, which was the end of my freshman year of high school. 7, was it? I thought it was junior high when I took mine. I could be wrong. 7, after confirmation, I joined my confirmation mentor and some of her friends. We would frequently get together and plan events. You're going to hear me address on this more going forward, okay? Dude, I don't even remember who my sponsor was. I seriously don't. Like, I have no clue. Like, I would have to look at church records if that even exists or whatever to see who it was. I have no idea. I can't even think of who it might have been, let alone frequently met with them after confirmation. This seems very strange to me, but I digress. 8, as a family, we attended Mass weekly until I was in elementary school. We stopped going because there was no Sunday school, and my mom struggled to keep me and my brother occupied during Mass. 9, my dad never attended church with us, and he was not involved at all in my faith as a child. 10, due to the Catholic Church's patriarchal structure, that's obviously why her dad was involved, right? Because such a patriarch. My mom heavily relied on my grandparents for their guidance on faith. My grandparents were strict holders to the catechism of obey thy parents even after marriage. Oh my God. No Catholic. Oh my God, no. That's not what Catholics believe. And I find that to be very strange because none of my grandfathers went to church. Like no male in my family went to church. Like I think even my grandmother let my uncle off the hook when he got to be a much younger age than, my mother and her aunt, or my mother and my aunt. But it was my grandmother who really made me go every weekend. It was her that taught me the prayers. It was her that instructed me on how to behave and everything and how to be a Catholic. It was never any male in my family. Like they would have laughed, I think, at that. And we're talking Irish Catholic here. Irish fucking Catholic. Okay? Anyway. 11, my grandparents were extremely devout. They attended Mass multiple times a week and were involved in numerous charities and organizations within the church. 12, my grandparents were extremely abusive to my mom and me. 13, threats, physical abuse, spiritual abuse, and verbal abuse were frequent tactics used by my grandparents and their priests to keep me in line. Okay, I'm going to shut up. All right, so let me scroll through real quick here for comments. I don't even really care at this point, but all right. Is that it? No, okay. All right, That's close to it, right? Okay, maybe not. Right. I'm done now. I'm done. Okay. So we're going to go moving on. So this was 3 days ago. And then shortly after that, which I don't even see what the big lead up was. Why didn't she just come out with this? I mean, was she testing? I think she was testing the waters with the last one. But anyway, or maybe there was her outline of her story, and now she's filling in the details. Here's the body of it. her first draft. Okay. I'm getting petty. So 3 days ago, I'm sharing my story of growing up Catholic. My story is my story and does not represent all Catholics. I can only speak for myself. If you are Catholic and can't listen with an empathetic ear and need to deny my experience, please do not comment, because every victim feels the need to have to start off their sharing like this, right? Every victim needs to start off saying, if you can't listen to me with an empathetic ear, please do not talk. Like, what the okay. 1. My grandfather was a member of the Knights of Columbus, a Catholic men's organization, and was even a leader of this group at one time. See, this is what I mean, how it's kind of scary how many similarities Katie and I have, because so was my grandfather. Anyway, my grandfather died in 2005. My grandfather died from heart failure too. At his funeral, my Catholic grandmother told me, Katie, your grandfather died because you stopped going to church and broke his heart. Now, I want to point this out right here. Notice she says, Katie, your grandfather died because you stopped going to church and broke his heart. Just remember that. She's alleging that her grandmother was talking to Katie and blamed Katie, solely Katie, for this. Okay? Moving on. 3. During his funeral, the priest shamed and degraded the family that no longer attended church. He threatened to hold my grandfather in purgatory if we did not go back to church. What fucking parish in the Catholic Church has parishioners that actually believe the priest has any kind of control over who leaves purgatory or who goes to purgatory or who okay, wouldn't that be like blasphemy? Because they would be asserting godlike power and tendency into a priest, a man on this earth. No Catholic would do that. I just find that to be very strange. I mean, it's not even like she's saying that the priest was like, dude, I know the guy upstairs. I got a word about this. No, she's saying that the priest is saying, I won't release him from purgatory. Okay. 4. The priest spent most of the funeral praising the commitment and legacy of my grandfather while shaming his family for ruining his legacy by leaving the church. 5. I left the church due to the sexual abuse scandals of priests and the cover-up by various dioceses that were blowing up the news in the early 2000s. Remember that. This is her excuse for leaving the Catholic Church in this story, this first draft. I'm sorry. I mean, her recollection of events, we'll say. Okay? It was because of the abuse scandals. 6. My grandfather was verbally abusive, physically abusive. And I found out in 2022 that my grandfather was a pedophile. In 2022, I learned through a family member that my grandfather art and SA'd multiple young girls. One of his victims told me her story. Here's the thing. I don't doubt that it's very, very possible that she had a grandfather that was like that. I mean, I think a lot of people had a family member that was like that who grew up in a specific time era or whatever, and that happens to be it, I think. So I'm not discounting that. I'm not. I just would hope that anyone in Katie's shoes, if they're being told such a thing by a family member, I just hope that they do their due diligence and see whether or not that specific family member has a dog in the fight and has a dog in the fight, because oftentimes that's what happens. I hope that she did her due diligence. That's all. If she says she did, then I believe her. Okay. 8. My entire life, I was never protected from my grandfather, despite my parents knowing that he was a pedophile. I'm going to say, if she went her entire life without knowing or thinking or believing that anything happened, then yeah, I'm going to say she was kind of fucking protected. So, 9. My grandfather hid his deviant actions through his involvement in the church. He used his position to look like a stellar citizen. That was his persona. That has nothing to do with the church. The church didn't sit there and say, sure, you can come in here. You can use us to make yourself look good as you do all these fucked up shit behind the scenes. We're on board with that. Okay. 10, I was left alone with my grandparents for 3 weeks when I was 5 years old while they went to Europe. Sounds like someone was kind of pissed off she didn't go to Europe. I don't know. Despite having a clear memory of being at home on the last day, I have no memory of staying at their home. I know that I stayed a lot of fucking nights over my friend Vita's house growing up. But with the exception of maybe 3 nights, nothing really, I can't really recall any specific nights being there, anything vividly. But I know I was there like every other fucking weekend for years. So I'm going to say that the whole memory thing kind of comes with the age and the amount of years that covered this whole like in between era. That's a lot of years because she's like almost 50, right? Or 40. She's at least 45, right? I think so. Anyway, so yeah, going on 50. And she's talking about when she was 5 years old. So now I no doubt that kids can block things out and that does happen and everything. But I have to look at this as a complete and whole picture, not just one instance. I can't judge this whole thing by whether or not something is possible and just disregard everything else because this is Katie fucking Joy. And I don't think I'm alone here. And even if I am, I don't really care. So, because I kind of find this disgusting. I really do. Anyway, 11, I've spent years in therapy trying to unearth SA that I know I experienced as a child, but I have a massive block. My therapists believe it happened to me because I have memory something happened. I don't know of any therapist that's going to sit there and try to put fucking thoughts or memories into a patient's head. At least no one who's of any kind of credible standing anyways in the community. It's like one of the fundamentals of treating patients in psychology is you don't fucking lead them. You don't fucking put thoughts in their head. You don't place memories there. You don't help them formulate this shit. They got to do it on their own. I mean, this is crazy. I read that and I'm like, they believe it happened because I have memory something happened. Why is it whenever Katie's like this big victim or whatever in these like horrific crimes, she's just very conveniently without a memory? I don't know. I wonder why that is. I don't know. And yeah, that may be a shitty thing to say. And if we were talking about literally anyone else, I would be a horrible person right now. I know that. But we're not. 12. When I found out my grandpa was a pedophile, I immediately went back to the time that I stayed with him for 3 weeks. I still could not remember. More later. I'm going to check chat before I go on real quick. Renelle Smith. EKC, exactly. That therapist needs to have their license revoked. Exactly. As soon as I read that, I know it sounds stupid and cliche or whatever, but I thought of this one episode on SVU where a therapist or whatever, a social worker, was helping a patient work through this memory recovery process. And I forget what it was, drug that she used, the truth serum drug or whatever. It's phenobarbital or something like that. And it came out just how unreliable that is in fact a truth serum, and how many people have recalled false memories or whatever. So as soon as I read that, that's what I pictured. I pictured that shitty therapist from SVU. That's who I picture as her therapist in my head because of that. Just saying. Yeah, priest doesn't make that decision. Fortunately, many don't know that, so they will believe KJ. Yes, exactly. Oh, yeah, and Dirty Uncle Sal, we're going to get into some of this shit that she said before. So. Yeah. See, here's the thing, Goose. Goose says, so now she wants to talk about a family member who's deceased and can't talk about it. How coincidental. Yeah, that's usually how it goes with her. But it's usually coincidental that she has free reign. But someone, I think it was Katie Joy is a liar or something. I forget what the name of the account on Twitter. But they brought up a very good point. They asked what happened in her family recently. Because for her to be coming out, throwing her brother under the bus, and that's the thing, I think it kind of, whatever it is that happened, I think it starts with her brother. And, then the father too. And the mother seems to be being spared by this momentarily. Now, maybe it's because she really isn't, all that well. I don't know. Or maybe it's because she just hasn't pissed off Katie at the moment. I don't know. But, and she also seems to be going hard for her mother's family. So I also wonder if maybe, because I know she said before that her mother was like one of many kids or something. So she has a lot of aunts and a lot of cousins. So I wonder if she's really mad at like that whole side of the family mostly. And that's why she's doing this. I don't know what could have happened though. I have no idea. But I'm thinking it's got to be pretty fucking big if she's going to these lengths and she's doing so shamelessly, right? I guess we'll see. What story is she trying to involve herself in? See, that's the thing. The story that I don't think she's trying to involve herself in the story because the story's been there for quite some time and she's covered it extensively. So if she just wanted to include herself in the story, she had plenty of opportunity to. And she had better timing in which to do that as well than she does now. It's like she's reaching back to the story to bring that to light today to help validate the claims she's making today. So I don't think she's trying to involve the story or involve herself into the story. I think she's trying to use the story to tell this story, if that makes sense. Yeah, shiny, happy people. I almost wonder if the two go hand in hand, though. I almost wonder if maybe the people making a documentary for, say, like 7M and all that, and some of the people behind Shiny Happy People, I wonder if maybe they have people in common and they all got to talking about Katie Joy. And I wonder if maybe that's going to be the next thing on the horizon. Instead of shiny, happy people, it might be bitchy, miserable, unavailable people. I'm thinking, I don't know. I shit you not. I have nothing to base this on. Nothing. I've heard nothing. I know nothing. I haven't even seen anything to make me suspect this. This is just all my gut. This is what my gut's telling me. That's all. So take it with a huge fucking rock of salt. I don't know. I hear a dog behind me. Hi, puppy. Hi, did you come to say hi? Okay. So, yeah, KJ is still very jealous of her brother and the good life he is living, in my honest opinion, and the relationship he has with their parents. It is all just jealousy. I think that that's a lot of it. Yes. See, the thing is, though, she could have thrown her brother under the bus just fine on his own, or maybe the parents along with them, without having to include this anyone else in the family. But she's going out of her way to include these other people. I do think that the majority of her anger or her ire is directed is focused on her family or her immediate family, but I it seems like some of it is being unleashed beyond that too, in my opinion. I don't know. We'll see. I guess we will find out. KJ did throw her brother. Yeah, she's done that before to a certain degree. She's always been kind of careful though. Like she's made comments like how he was always the favorite child, or he was always like the golden child, or shit like that. But that's it. She didn't go any further than that until now. So I feel like something had to happen. It's my opinion, anyways. Yeah, it could be just that Twilight. Maybe she was embarrassing her family and they didn't want to know part of it. And now she's upset and spiteful. Who knows? It could be just that. I was thinking too, because she mentioned before how her mother isn't well. And I not saying anything about that, but maybe she just got wind or something that like, steps have been put in place by her mom, for like the whole estate kind of thing or whatever. And maybe she's learned that she's nowhere in it. I don't know. I mean, because she seemed to think that it was very possible for a one James, Westbrook there or whatever, or to have taken out his own parent over such things. So, I mean, I don't put it past her at all to be this fucking angry over such things without the whole, attempted M and whatnot, without all that. I'm just saying. I don't put it past her to make a public spectacle of that either. But I'm more heavily leaning toward something more specific, an action that I think was done. And I think that a good part of her family may have played a role in it. But that's my opinion. I don't fucking know. I really don't know. No clue. And who's okay. Let's see. Oh. Okay. All right, so let me get through this. Let me continue on. So let's go down and check out some comments. Sorry, this happened to you. My psychologist said the exact same thing. Wait, okay, what was that? Okay. What this is some who the fuck are these psychologists, man, or psychiatrists? Okay, so this one chick says, I later found out my grandfather was also a pedo, but I cannot remember one incident happening there involving me, even though I stayed there all the time. So I understand how you feel. He essayed every single female cousin, but I cannot remember anything. Nothing. It's beyond the strangest thing. My psychiatrist says the same thing. He tells me your brain forgets so you can survive. I don't know. I just know that you are not alone. I mean, it's not unheard of for a child or two in the family to be spared, right? Okay. Are you sent me the same thing like 3 times. I got it. Okay. So, okay, so to which Katie says, I'm sorry that happened to you. My psychologist said the exact same thing. She said the abuse likely happened before I was 6 years old. She said a lot of kids' memories before the age are spotty. If abuse occurs during this time, the child may never remember it. I've had issues with disassociation for a long time. Like I can escape my mind when bad things happen. I didn't really know that was a coping mechanism until later in life. My psychologist said that she's never had a client come to them believing they were SA'd as a child and have it not be the case. But I thought that's not why she went there. She didn't go in and walk in the office and say, I believe this happened to me. I thought, right? I thought that this was something that came out throughout therapy or some shit. I had a lot of red flags that something happened. I had night terrors. I wet the bed into late adolescence. I was terrified of the dark. I was scared to be alone at night. And as an adult, I was terrified of taking care of children. Yeah, here we're gonna get into these fucking comments. That's right. I know it. I know. Oh, all I know is it happened at night. Something also happened when I was still little because I'm terrified of changing diapers. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. I'm super grateful for my therapist that helped me understand my trauma and fear of children. It truly helped me realize that I could never hurt my son and that being afraid is a sign that I won't hurt him. I honestly found that work to be life changing for me as a mom. I'm those are the only people who fear hurting children. The people who are actually capable of hurting children, they realize this and they admit this. They fear of hurting children too, right? I mean, that just seems like such a weird thing. Like, I don't think I've ever heard anyone who's ever told me any kind of story or event or anything that occurred in their life similar to this. And they've ever said to me that they feared hurting their child. I don't think I've ever heard that. I mean, I'm sure I know it's possible and I know that it's not even unheard of, But, and I hate to sound sexist when I say this, but the majority, not all, but the majority of cases where that happens, it's oftentimes a male perpetrator and who's victim of a male perpetrator. You know what I mean? Um, it's not usually this descending line or whatever, I guess. I don't know. I could be wrong on that. But I'm trying to rack my brain here to see if I can think of any kind of example that disputes what I'm saying right now. And I can't, but just because I can't think of it doesn't mean it's not existing or not prevalent. I don't know. I really can't think of it. That's all. Anyway, I have foggy memories and know something happened. I just don't remember the details. My psychologist said this happens with trauma and that children's memories are also not complete when they are young. Not complete and spotty, sure. I just have a hard time believing the whole non-existent though. And the whole like I don't know. I just really do. I mean, I understand maybe not being able to recall or really just know for sure if what you're remembering is accurate and having questions and just, but you still have a general idea and you still have that feeling, right? You know? So that's my opinion. I don't know. I have no contact with most of my family at this time. Most. So who the fuck is she still talking to after this? While I appreciate your thoughts, I do not live near this church. I also have no interest in engaging in dialogue with anyone from the church. He died in 2005. He was 89 at his death. I don't need to engage with others from his church. I lived it. I know it. He was a monster. It's not my job to find his victims when the victims are in my family. So is she outing her cousins right there? I mean, that's what it sounds like to me. They're in my family. I mean, it can't be any nieces or nephews or whatever because she just has the one brother, and I believe his kids would be too young to. I think that they came about after 2005 anyway. We'll say that. So it'd have to be her cousins, right? What the? Okay. I don't understand your comment. I don't need others to fill in blanks. I know the man he was. He was an abusive monster. I doubt very much she manipulated the priest. That church was terrible and the priest was very conservative. He'd do that on his own. Really? You know that? I don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. Whatever. All right. So there's a couple more in here, I think. I thought. Maybe not. Oh, no. I think those were on Facebook, actually, the rest of them. I have no contact with most of my family. I think no. Yeah. Okay. My grandfather was for sure an alcoholic, though not a single person mentioned it. He would throw back brandy Manhattans like they were going out of style. I was in my 30s when someone made me one. I felt drunk after one. Well, that's because it's all brandy. And depending on the size of your glass, it could be like 2, 3, 4 shots of brandy in one drink. He would literally drink 3 to 4 of them, no problem. No wonder he just sat there and didn't talk or screamed and yelled. Nothing in between. That wasn't the alcohol because I have not a direct relation family member, but through one of my kids' relation family members who well into her 80s could outdrink anyone knew, just completely outdrink them all with her Manhattans. She was awesome. She was wonderful. Like, I miss her very much. All right. All right, so oh my god, how many this is just going forever. Kind of makes me sad though how many people are reading this. I don't know. See, here's the thing. I just keep thinking, who can do this to their family? Like, even if it's true, es- even if it's true, I'm of the belief that I don't know. I mean, I keep thinking like I have aunts and uncles. Like, true or not, like I wouldn't want to break their hearts. I don't know. I wouldn't want to do that because I know like my aunts and uncles love their fathers very much. You know, who wouldn't? I don't. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't want to break their hearts. Anyway, okay. So after that, we have no lawsuit. I win again. Bullshit. Um. Oh, don't I want to? Okay, we're gonna read this one, and then we're gonna backtrack a little bit. Okay. So she says, I grew up with a patriarchal, non-religious father. I don't think I read this one yet. I don't know. With a patriarchal, non-religious father that was raised conservative Presbyterian. Despite my father's lack of faith as an adult, he did not abandon his firm belief of patriarchal control and misogyny. That's why he never went to church, right? I have one sibling, an older brother, a golden child. My parents believed their second child would be a boy. When I was born, shock was an understatement. They weren't prepared for a girl. The story about how I wasn't a boy was a story that was played on loop throughout my childhood. I wasn't who they expected. I was born with disabilities. I was born with hip dysplasia and a club foot. To correct my foot, I went through a series of casting and special shoes. I wore stiff braces for my hips and learned to walk while wearing braces. Think Forrest Gump. Growing up, my body and appearance was analyzed and a frequent topic of conversation with my family, within my family. My brother made up songs to mock my small chin. Wait, I thought we were talking about the hip dysplasia and the club foot and shit. Why are we talking about a small chin now? Where'd that come from? He also created a song when I was 8 years old where he called me Thunder Thighs. Looking at my childhood photos, I was not chubby at 8, but my brother and parents sure made me think that I was. Oh my God. Michael and I, you know how people break each other's balls? We have your little inside jokes. Ours is we call each other fat. He, I don't think I'm fat. A little chubby, yeah. I don't think he's fat, but it's just like a funny term of endearment thing. You know what I mean? Like we would never seriously say that to one another, but we're gonna joke around with each other. That's what we do. I- Like if he spilled something or whatever in the kitchen, like you know why that happened, he'd be like, "What? Because you're fat." You know, that's what we do. We're joking. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that her brother was joking at fucking 8 years old. I don't know. Okay. My brother was horrifically abusive to me as a child. He pinned me down and would try to suffocate me by putting pillows over my face and would do it long enough until he knew I was panicked. I think a lot of siblings horseplay like that. It's still fucked up. So I agree. He punched, slapped, and hit me. You know, I remember a story my mom and my uncle would tell. My uncle has since passed away too. But my mom was the oldest. So my mom would boss around her little brother. And then her little brother started to grow into a man. And my mom was like, shit. So he started becoming like kind of the bully of the two. So then my mom grew her nails really long. He never bullied her again after that. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like that's kind of what siblings do. It's fucked up. Sure, yes, I agree. But I don't see how people are really, I don't know. I mean, if there was violence and it was that bad, surely it would have been caught, right? I mean, by someone. I mean, I have a hard time believing that Katie herself would have kept her mouth shut about it, to be honest. That's just me, though. Punch and slapped and hit me. He would wrestle me into leg locks that would send pain up my back. In pools, he would hold my head underwater and try to drown me. Oh my God, I think I did that to one of my kids last summer. I didn't try to drown. No. Okay, it wasn't last summer. It was a few summers ago. But like, I just pushed their head under. They were also like a teenager, but still. It was funny. It was. They got me back. Okay, we'll see. Hold my hand and try to drown me. I'm going to say that he wasn't really trying to drown her. My opinion. I never felt safe with him. Okay. My parents would laugh and joke about his behavior. He was 4 years older than me. I was always much smaller than him. I could not fight back. And I've been paranoid of suffocating my whole life because of this trauma. My father physically abused me. He verbally abused my mother and me. I had to kick him out of my house as an adult due to his loud verbal abuse in front of my son. Maybe. I don't know. In 2022, I confronted my parents for allowing and enabling my brother's abuse of me. Instead of listening to me, they told me that my grandfather was a pedophile and that other people experienced worse abuse than me. That I'm going to call bullshit on. Emphatically, I'm going to call bullshit on. Because if there's one thing I've learned from talking to other people, is that Katie will take an event and completely and totally twist it. So she will take a normal progression of a conversation with totally expected information and completely twist it around and present it a totally different way. And it's bullshit. So I'm gonna go on a limb here and say that something like that occurred here. I don't know. Because I can't imagine that they felt like they needed some sort of distraction for their daughter to get off of their case over one sibling holding the other sibling's head under the water for a second. And that distraction was then deemed to be, oh, hey, hear this about your grandfather. That just, what fucking family, where would that make sense? Where? Like, seriously. Like, that wouldn't give them, like, much greater problems in life by telling her that? That's not going to be some distraction thing that they do. Anyway, I have no contact with my family because I'm done being their punching bag. Well, I don't know. Okay, never mind. I'm going to shut up. I watched my mom being abused by her parents and then allowed them to abuse me. I refuse to repeat that cycle with my son. That's okay. So then just don't let that cycle continue. I really appreciate this comment, but I don't need God to heal my heart. I did the work myself. It doesn't sound like he did, sis. It sounds like he fucking didn't heal anything, really. I love my mom. She's the only one that I love. But I can't speak to her because my dad is controlling and domineering. She cannot control him. And unfortunately, our relationship has never been safe because of it. So that sounds to me like she's pissed off at her mom for not controlling her father. And she's kind of very resentful I love my mom. She's the only one that I do love. But my dad is controlling and domineering. And I'm mad because she can't control him. Well, then you must not think that he's that controlling and domineering if you think she could control him. And you're mad at her for not doing so. Now she has dementia. And I can't even see her because being around my dad is too triggering for me. Your mom's memories are fading if she has dementia. But yeah. Letting go of them was a way for me to free myself from the ongoing trauma. I experienced. It has been lonely, but I feel safer today. Most importantly, I know that my child is not a party to it or around it. Well, I'm pretty sure your child wasn't a party to it, period, because he wasn't here yet. And he hasn't been around it because you haven't been around your parents in forever, right? I mean, I don't think you're making this decision to spare him when he was already spared. So why even bring that up? I'm seeing a lot of women say they had equally challenging relationships with their brothers. This makes me so mad. I'm sorry you experienced this too. Now, maybe it's just me because I grew up with two sisters, okay? But I can recall much of these very same experiences that she's describing with my two sisters. And you want to talk about a golden child. Okay, I had two golden children to deal with because I would be called what's called the black sheep. And I've been like that since my entire life. So yeah, there's that. I mean, they weren't really, I don't know, they weren't bad. I mean, we got in a few fights, but nothing too bad. Sure, they dunked my head underwater a bunch of times. But then I'd get even and I'd steal my sister's french fries. And she got mad about that. I guess I don't know what you mean. I don't think that I'm in the wrong. I also know that I didn't deserve it. Okay. I don't, why would, who would? Oh, is it okay? Totally understand the golden child thing. My brother was always treated differently and still is. He's pulled, I'm the one who was grounded when he chased me around the kid. I think there's more to this story, in my opinion, but I don't need to know. I don't care, whatever. Same. She says same. How is that the same? What, did your brother chase you around too with a weapon? Same. She's going to equate these two now as though they're the same. This is crazy. He never had a curfew. I was the one always grounded and had a curfew. My grades were better than his, but he was the smarter one. I was the fat, ugly, slutty girl that had breasts, basically. Who said anything about being slutty, first of all? And I'm sorry. I mean, she's shown pictures of herself in high school and shit. She was neither fat nor ugly. What is she talking about? Ugh. I watched my mom being abused by her parents and then allow them to abuse me. I refuse to repeat that cycle with my son. I really appreciate this comment, but I don't. Oh, okay. No, so it's just gonna reload. So is that it? Probably. All right. I just want to head on. Actually, no, I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to head on over to Twitter, read those real quick, and then we're going to read some shit from the past. Okay. So let me pull up my tweet from the other day. Okay. So we have here. Let me close that out and lower. Okay. So I'm going to check chat too real quick. All right, let me go to chat real quick for a second. What is that? Okay, close that out. All right. I'm just going to scroll back here, see if my name's tagged at all. If not, then I'm going to continue. Going to finish editing my video on this exact topic. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, beautiful people, and we'll catch the rest of your stream later. EKC. Good night. Good night, Renelle. If you're still here. If not, hi, bye. Good night. Okay. All right, so moving on. So here's a tweet I put up the other night. And I mean this too, because this is what I read these. Someone sent me screenshots of these, and I read these at work. And I had like a 5-minute break to go to the bathroom. And I'm sitting there in the bathroom and I'm reading this, and I'm like, how is it that no one, how does she not realize what the fuck she's admitting to here? Like, this is crazy to me. Okay, and I'll show you what I mean. This is fucking crazy. Imagine that, and I wrote, imagine the person you married and wanted to have kids with, no matter if that person was male or female. Imagine they said they had these thoughts and worries. Would you still have kids with them after they admitted to quote unquote intrusive thoughts about essaying their kid? Because that's what she's fucking saying. I'll show you. So here's the full comment. So the whole context is provided. But here's the parts that I'm highlighting. She says, because I'm terrified of changing diapers. My fear of children helped me realize that I would never hurt my son. I grew up terrified of children and caring for them. My body was remembering what happened. See, and I read that and it just, okay, I'll wait a minute, not yet. I was terrified of changing his diaper, afraid something bad would happen to him. An intrusive thought. I didn't want to hurt him, was terrified to be near him. Found that work to be life changing for me as a mom. And as an adult, I was terrified of taking care of children. Like, and she said before, I don't have the clip at the moment, but she said before she was talking about, I don't even remember what the story was she was talking about. Maybe I think it might have been the Duggars or something, but she was referencing her own trauma or whatever from her essay, alleged essay. And and she said that she was explaining how she's seen a therapist afterwards, and one of the first things she asked the therapist was, does this mean that I'm now going to be an R or myself and go out and do this? I don't think I've ever heard anyone ask that, at least not female women, in that type of situation. And I don't know, that just sounded very, very out of place to me. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, that's what she's fucking admitting to there. That's so strange to me, right? All right. Now, look at some things from the past here. Which one do I want to bring up first? Oh, here we go. Okay. Why my grandfather's funeral was my last day being Catholic. Let's check out that one. Now, you can find almost all of her articles still on the Wayback Machine or the archive website. The thing is, though, is you need to have a link, though, to put to input into the search bar on the websites, on those two Wayback websites. And that's what can sometimes be difficult, because you can't just go search for the links on Pathos anymore or on her website or whatever anymore. But there are other websites that still have the links. There's The Mighty, there's Muckrack, there's what's the other one? Maybe I don't have it up anymore. Well, okay, I don't have it up anymore. There's another one though. I can't remember anything. Another place, though, too, we can find a lot of articles, not so much ones that are this old that I'm going to be reading from, but ones that are a little bit more recent, but still like fucking 5 years old, is on the website Discus or whatever, because she commented on a lot of them. So you can grab the links there and then put them into the Wayback Machine, and then they'll if it was archived, they'll be pulled up. And some of them weren't archived, but most of them were. So anyway. This is one that was archived. And yes, you can see here, see Wayback Machine, and I'm pulling it up on the Wayback Machine. So this is from August 14th, 2018. Why my grandfather's funeral was my last day being Catholic. In 2005, my grandfather passed away after a long battle with congestive heart failure. I never had a close relationship with my grandfather. However, his death marked the first time I experienced the death of a loved one. My grandmother and her daughters arranged his funeral at the local Catholic church they attended for decades. The church is in the middle of a neighborhood. While the church is large, the community around gives it a small feel. His funeral service should have been a time to celebrate his 89 years of life. I hope to hear stories from the priest about my grandpa. Instead, my grandfather's funeral marked a turning point for me with the Catholic Church. At the time of my grandpa's death, I was a month shy of 27th birthday. I had grown up in the Catholic Church. At age 15, I completed confirmation and became an adult within the church. After my confirmation, I asked my mom if I had to go to church anymore. She said I had completed the sacraments required of a child, and the decision to continue to go was up to me. At age 16 years old, I decided I no longer wanted to attend church. During this time, my brother, cousins, and aunts all made similar choices regarding the church. My mother and aunts lived through traumatic experiences at Catholic school. None of them felt comfortable continuing at the church. At the time of my grandfather's death, only my grandmother attended Catholic church. During my grandfather's life, he never talked to me about faith. In fact, my grandfather was a man of very few words. He was a veteran of World War II. My mom always speculated his quietness was a result of the horror he faced during the war. I learned a considerable amount about him at his viewing the night before his funeral. For me, it was the first time I got a peek into the life before his daughter, or into his life before his daughter's. I saw photos from his time in the army, read letters he wrote my grandma. There were photos of the first home he built. I enjoyed learning about him that evening, and I hoped the funeral would give me more details about his life. The next day, we met at the church. My grandfather had an open casket. The priest welcomed the family to the funeral. We talked about the service and the plans for the day. My family said their goodbyes as the staff of the church closed the casket. I was overcome by emotion watching the casket close. My grandma stood near all of us. I walked over to her to hug her. She was a proud German woman who stood there very stoically. Despite not showing too much emotion, I knew she was overcome with grief. My grandfather's heart finally gave up after more than 5 years of fighting heart failure. I remember telling my grandma that his heart couldn't keep going anymore. Instead of agreeing or acknowledging what I said, she looked at me very matter of fact. She said curtly, "Your grandfather died of a broken heart because you stopped going to church." My mouth dropped open. My grandmother was never one to mince words, but this accusation stung. I said to her, "Grandma, no, he died of heart failure." Rather than letting it go, she doubled down and said, "No, all he wanted was all of you to go to church. All of you killed him by breaking his heart." See, I read that, and that tells me that when her grandmother said that initial statement, she wasn't talking to Katie. She was talking to the whole family. That's, of course, if it is true that that is, in fact, what she said. Maybe it was. I don't know. If she could have been a very stoically proud German woman, and that's what she said. Who knows? Maybe she was annoyed that her granddaughter was being kind of condescending and giving her a hug. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know what was going through her head. Who can know? But it sounds to me from Katie's recollection that her saying that was not directed toward Katie or solely Katie. It was directed toward all of them. Right? Okay. "All of you killed him by breaking his heart," she says. I responded, "Grandma, I didn't kill him. That's not nice of you to say." Despite my anger, I hugged her and walked away. Needless to say, I walked into the funeral service heated and annoyed by her comments. My family was seated at the front of the church. The church had an ornate and slightly obnoxious gold altar. Jesus hung on the large cross behind the altar. As the music ended, the priest started the service. My grandmother's comments were a prelude to what the priest had planned for the family. He started talking about my grandfather and his love for the church. Rather than sharing details of my grandfather's life to the more than 100 guests that attended, the priest used the service to scold our family for not going to church. He made the same implications that my grandmother made about my grandfather's death. See, it sounded to me like she didn't implicate it. It sounded to me like she fucking came around and accused it. I don't know. For more than 15 minutes, he told all of us that we were destroying my grandfather's memory by abandoning the church. I looked around and watched my family sit there with their mouths open wide. Some of my cousins appeared to be red in the face from anger. Most of us had to stop listening. We fidgeted with our programs, and several of us pretended to read. There were whispers back and forth and several loud sighs from my family. No one was pleased with the priest. However, most of us knew he and my grandmother planned this together. Instead of allowing us to grieve his passing, we were damned to eternal hell for leaving the church. Seems like a lot of fucking drama made out of a fucking funeral, if you ask me. I don't know. After the service, most of us were blurry-eyed, either from sadness or anger. We talked about what happened. However, all of us were grieving the loss of our grandfather. We had a tough time deciphering the words of the priest. For me, this was the day I committed myself to never stepping foot in a Catholic church again as a member. I was done with the church. It was one of the darkest times of my life. I was spiritually abused by the man of the cloth. I lost all respect for the leadership of the church. My relationship with my grandmother never recovered, because this church clearly represented all Catholic churches, even the more progressive one that she says herself that she's grown up in, is opposed to this one. A church is supposed to console and help families through their grief. The Catholic Church used our grief to guilt, exploit, and humiliate our family. For the past 14 years since I left the church, I'm still recovering from the pain the church has inflicted on my family. Instead of picking her family, my grandmother picked the church. Even to her death, she never wavered from her commitment to the church. Her choice of the church over her family destroyed my relationship with her. When she finally passed away at 98 years old, I didn't shed a single tear. Every day, the Catholic Church meddles and disrupts family relationships. Members' needs and emotions are secondary to the needs of the church. They will stop at nothing to maintain obedience to their rules. The Catholic Church may not look like a cult. However, the day of my grandfather's funeral, I left the largest cult in the world. I will forever be a recovering Catholic. My only hope is one day there are no more members of the Catholic Church. She's hoping to take down the Catholic Church. Did I read that right? When that day comes, there will finally be no more victims at the hands of their ruthless and callous leaders. Sure, there will. They'll just find other ways in which to exploit and manipulate people, if not Catholicism. It's the people part of that does that, not the faith part. So there's that. Yeah. So there's that article. Okay. We're going to do another one, but first I want to check chat real quick. So all these cousins that were abused were in grief and sad. They all have repressed memories. I don't know. Well, it just says, here's the thing. I'm thinking she's kind of outed her cousins as being some of the alleged victims of the grandfather because of what she said on Instagram here. Fuck, was it? It was in the comment section. I don't remember. I pointed out and I go on about it for about a minute though, a little bit earlier in the stream. But yeah, she says something like her own family members shared their stories with her. Now, me just putting two and two together here, and my math could be faulty, but the only people I can think of who could possibly have had stories to share would be cousins because maybe either first or second, but I'm thinking first. Because if she has, I believe she has a niece or a nephew or both or five or I don't know, something like that. But she only has one sibling. And I believe any nieces or nephews from that, I believe, came about after 2005. So I don't think that they would qualify to be family members to be recalling their stories with her. So I'm of the belief that it's cousins. I mean, I could be wrong, for granted. But that's what I'm thinking. Anyway. But yeah, hard time deciphering the words of the priest. He's supposed to be about spreading the word of God, isn't he? Well, yeah. See, that's the thing. Here's the thing. Like, I've had conversations explained to me that she has given one recollection of events. And then I have the other person involved in the conversation tell me what actually happened. And it's like, wow. Like whereas there was one such person just trying to set her mind at ease and stating their capabilities of something. She turned it around into being some sort of braggadocious asshole. I'm going to leave it at that. But yeah. And there's so many more examples. Like, because that's what she does. So I'm thinking that her grandmother was probably upset, lashing out. And who are you? I mean, you lash out at the ones you love, so she lashed out at her family, saying fucking assholes, it's because you did this. And I don't even think the grandmother probably even meant it. But like I said, you lash out at the ones you love. And yeah. And I'm thinking that her family members who were sighing and red in the face or whatever were just maybe annoyed and just maybe they were feeling guilty. Maybe the priest said a few things that kind of hit home, but maybe the priest wasn't doing it to try to guilt or shame them. Maybe the priest was just fulfilling a promise he made to his parishioner to their grandfather, like something like, I promise I'll talk to your family and try to get them to come back into the fold or something. But she doesn't interpret it that way because she feels rejected, ostracized, pointed at, whatever. Yeah, exactly, Jen McCown. Yeah, I don't know of many women in their 80s who, upon losing their husband, are going to tell the church to go suck a fat one and go hang out with family who probably doesn't really want to hang out with them. Just that's just the way it goes. It's fucked up as it is. It's just the way it goes. No, they're going to stick with the church, especially when they know that, especially when they're worried probably where they're going to be ending up in eternity not long after, when they're of that age. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. How old was she when she lost her grandpa? I was 2005, so like 30 maybe. No, I think she said earlier in this blog post just shy of her 27th birthday or something. But anyway. Yeah, I know. I always love it when Katie tells everyone exactly how other people feel about things and just what they're thinking about the thing. Her insights into all others' minds makes thinking pointless. I couldn't have said that any better myself, Dirty Little Sal. That's good. That was good. All right. What is this, a telenovel or soap opera? LMAO, it's just too much. I like to read things with a little bit of feeling, I guess. I don't know. It's fun. Well, it's more fun than just reading, anyway. All right, so let's move on to the next one. So, which is that one? Okay, this one is from August 20th, 2018. And it's titled, My Beloved Childhood Priest is an Accused Pedophile. Now, because she's been retelling her story of how the church has been victimizing her, I thought we should tell her story. The Catholic Church sex abuse scandals is erupting all over the country. I've written extensively on the scandal since it broke last week. Throughout, I have received consistent feedback from Catholics that these crimes are abnormal and didn't happen in their churches. I believed them because, as a former member, I also knew no one affected by the scandals. Then it occurred to me that I might know either a victim or a priest involved in the scandal. My gut feeling I might know someone entrenched in the scandal were confirmed this morning. Were confirmed? Oh, okay. My former pastor, Gerald Greeman, was accused by two boys of SA. I understand the need to defend priests. Growing up in the church, I viewed priests as an extension of God. I feared and respected them. The church I grew up in had a large congregation. Most of our priests were older. As a child, I felt it harder to connect with the older priests. They seemed stuffy and out of touch with the world around us. Okay, excuse me. Sorry. However, that view of priests changed for me when I met a priest while studying for confirmation. My freshman year of high school, I started my year-long journey preparing to be confirmed into the church. We learned the covenants of the church. Our leaders prepared us to become adults within the church. Then how the fuck is it that no one prepared you for confirmation or for reconciliation? Because she tells a story where she was scared as can be because they just like plucked her out of like obscurity or whatever, our English class, and just shoved her into a confessional and said, all right, tell this man, the strange man, all your sins. And she's like, I didn't even know what a mortal sin was. Like, nah, they fucking prepare you just as much for reconciliation as they do confirmation, as they do for communion. I mean, you have to learn the act of contrition. And okay, all right, I digress. Anyway. Okay, as we got closer to the confirmation date, our leaders let us know we were going on a retreat. The retreat was sold as a way to connect us as a group, learn, and spend time with church leaders. I remember being excited about a weekend away with friends. When the weekend of the retreat arrived, the entire confirmation class met at an old Victorian home in Minneapolis. Our weekend was planned out from the time we came until the time we left. Our leaders invited some of our sponsors, older kids in the church, to attend the retreat with us. I was excited because my sponsor spent the weekend with us. So she was excited because her sponsor spent a weekend with her, because she makes it sound like that's something that wouldn't normally happen. Okay, just pointing that out. The first day we did a lot of group work. We watched videos and discussed various sins associated with becoming an adult. Of course, much of the time was spent discussing premarital sex. On the evening of our second night, all of us had to one-on-one scheduled with Father Jerry. The mansion we stayed at was enormous. There was a large basement with a pool table. Our leaders put music on a boombox. They dimmed the lights and put on black lights. All they're so worried about premarital sex, but yet they're setting the fucking makeout like mood for you guys. Come on. This sounds so weird. All right. All day, our leaders gushed about Pastor Jerry. They told us he was the best priest. He was in his 40s and young compared to our more senior clergy at our church. We were told he would make us all feel comfortable. All of our sponsors encouraged us to use our one-on-ones to confess our sins to Pastor Jerry. When it was my time to meet with Jerry, I felt nervous and scared. I never enjoyed confession of any kind. I bet. Who the fuck does, though, really? He led me into a dark room. The lights were so dim, I could barely see his face. We sat side by side on a small couch on the side of the room. There was a little nightlight on. I could see the outline of his face, but nothing more. I remember he sat close to me. At the time, I felt uncomfortable because I hadn't been in that close a proximity to a priest. However, he seemed approachable and kind. He listened intently to my sins. We discussed a range of topics. After about 15 minutes, I got up and left the room. For the rest of the night, I watched kids go in and out of the dark room. From the dark room into the dark. Okay. For some reason, that setting has always been stuck in my mind. The whole situation always felt weird to me. Why did we sit in a pitch black room with an older man? When I sat there, why did he sit so close and nearly touch my legs as I confessed? He was a nice guy. I remember thinking he was the first priest that found ways to relate to me. Despite the weirdness of the confession, I grew an affection for his kindness. We saw Pastor Jerry a few more times as we finished our up confirmation class. Oh my God, I can't with this woman. Once I was finally confirmed, I never saw him again. A year later, I was out with my sponsor having dinner. Like I said, I can't even fucking remember who sponsored me. Like I don't even know if I had. Was that a normal thing? Was that a routine thing? Like every confirmation or person or whatever had to have a sponsor. Like I don't even fucking know if I had one. And here she is, a year later, having dinner with her sponsor. Like I'm having a hard time believing that the sponsor agreed to dinner a year later. I don't know. It's okay. That's just me. Whatever. We talked about church. I asked her about Father Jerry. Even though I hadn't been to church in ages, I wanted to know how he was doing. This was just a year later. So ages, she hasn't been to church in ages. But a year prior, she was going to church and attending classes for confirmation. But now it's been ages since she's been. I wanted to know, but wait a minute, I never saw him again. Okay. I wanted to know how he was doing. I remember she just blankly told me he was no longer at the church. She said the diocese moved him to St. Paul. Just like that, Father Jerry was gone from our community. Well, he was gone from your community before then, according to you, for ages now. After I got the news he had left our congregation, I reached out to other friends at the church. Everyone had the same story. One day leadership decided to move him. No one gave any details as to why our priest was transferred. I never forgot about him. His departure from the church was abrupt and mysterious. Over the years, I've thought about him from time to time. Then today, in a Google search, a priest accused of SA, I found his name listed by the St. Paul, Minneapolis Diocese. 2 separate boys accused him of inappropriate touching. One of the boys said Father Jerry made him, okay, I'm not going into detail, whatever. He moved out of the church. Diocese moved him to a church in St. Paul in 1996. He moved again in 1997 to another church. He finally retired in 2000. It doesn't add up, but okay. Father Jerry never lost his good standing within the church. The church released a statement that the victims weren't credible. However, both stories were eerily similar. The abuse happened around the time I was in confirmation. I realized this morning that dark confession room could have been a place where he abused boys. See, she was there. She was there. When I made that conclusion, I felt sick to my stomach. No one ever said anything negative about Pastor Jerry in the entire time I knew of him. He was a beloved priest by all the children. I never heard a word of any abuse in the whole time I was in confirmation or my previous years of catechism class. Wait, I thought he was new though. But how? Oh, of any abuse. Okay. His victims were silent. The congregation was clueless. Now, I believe Catholics when they say they don't think the abuse happens in their churches. The abuse occurred in my church, and I had no clue. A priest that I confessed to had abused multiple boys. That was 2, but okay. He probably abused boys. Probably now she's victim, putting the whole victim status of the boys in her class, and I had no idea. Abusers do a great job of conning everyone. They groom their prey. Predators can be incredibly charming and beloved by everyone. Catholics must stop saying the abuse doesn't happen at their churches. The truth is that no one knows where a predator is hiding. I had no idea Father Jerry was a predator under his calm demeanor, he hit a monster. Catholics, please stop saying you don't know a predator priest. Stop saying you don't know anyone affected by the scandal. All of us know someone that has been touched by this abuse. I feel like that was an improper choice of words there, but okay. When Catholics fight about the cause and refuse to believe the abuse, they fail to remember the actual victims of the case. There are adults around the world scarred by the horrible crimes of thousands of priests. Yes, no doubt. Every Catholic knows a predator. All of them know a victim. That's probably true. I can subscribe to that. Okay, this one it may not I don't really apply to too much of the current day subject or whatever from Katie, but I'm gonna read it anyways. I just find it interesting, fascinating. In fact, what's that? Why I had to get out from under my grief as a special needs mom. Okay, that's interesting. All right, so one more. Let me check chat real quick though. Okay. Hi, Kathy Ann. Hey, Ravenheart. Okay, so she says that she was confirmed in her sophomore year. So that's 10th grade. Right? Yeah, 10th grade. And I think she graduated in 97. So, and she's saying that he was moved to St. Paul in 96. So I don't know. I don't know. Is she? I mean, chances are she's probably recalling, things she may be off by a few months or something or there. That's entirely believable if that's the case. I totally possible. So I'm not ready to quite chalk that up to anything yet. I don't know. And I have a hard time believing that she would try to publicly name a priest that wasn't actually suspected or accused at the very least. I think yeah, she was born in like 77 or 78, I think. I don't know. Thank you. You can't see me, but I took a bow. Your local dirty Uncle Sal giving the bar to run for his money in the smart history comment department. Thank you. Okay, so I think that's it there. Stop stabbing girls. Oh my god, that's crazy. Okay. So thinking. Fuck it. All right, so let's move on, shall we? So, all right, this one it's not totally relevant or whatever, but I think it's relevant enough. And I'll put the links to these two, the web archive links in the description when I'm done, in case anyone wants to pull them up. So, what am I doing here? I'm adding sharing screen. So this is called. Oh, wait, what else do I have open? Oh, where's that? All right. So apparently, I was able to pull up. See at the end, at the bottom of her Pathos page, she has this option where you can her back when her shit was all up there and everything and all published. You could search her entire catalog for a specific category. One of the categories that shows up in the options to choose from is the Catholic Church. And so I did a search for it and it came up with, 404 or whatever. So then I took that link for the search results of Catholic Church and put that through way back. And what did you know? Somebody archived that fucking page. That's where I found these from. I can put a link to that too in the description. But I mean, this is mostly like all of that. Like she has other articles like other people's stories of things or news stories rather. Or there's one how to locate priests accused of shit. Um, that's about it, really. Other than that, it's just other news stories. But anyway, okay, so here we are. The 10 most ridiculous mortal sins of the Catholic Church. And I thought that this was interesting just because she's talking about her experience by the Catholic Church. Growing up in the Catholic Church is akin to being beaten with a stick every single day. Well, that's a hell of an opening line. Every day, Catholic children are reminded of what is wrong with them. They learn from a young age that everything fun in life can be equated to sin. Believing in God is not a ticket to heaven for Catholics. Catholics must refrain from all mortal sins to get to heaven. 10 sins are so ridiculous, many Catholics can't go a day without committing one. How is a mortal sin defined? A sin of grave matter. Sin that is committed with full knowledge of the sinner. The sin is committed with deliberate consent of the sinner. The second and third points are self explanatory. However, what is a grave sin? Well, lucky for you, the church has a long list of a sin that is considered grave. A grave sin becomes mortal when the sinner meets all three criteria. Here are some of the ridiculous grave sins that can keep a Catholic out of heaven: blasphemy, or in today's jargon, taking the Lord's name in vain. It's not just that, though. Yep, if you defile the name of the Lord or speak ill of God, you will burn in hell. What's the term for if you assume the will of God? I thought that was blasphemy too. Using birth control. Where the fuck is that in the Bible? That's not in the Bible. I mean, it's not a Catholic fucking belief. That's a modern day Catholic belief. That's the clergy's belief or whatever. It's not a tenet. Birth control is prohibited for sexually active married couples. But it's not prohibited for sexually active unmarried couples. Sex is seen only as a vehicle to procreate more offspring. If you are Catholic, you better not have sex for pleasure. Any Catholic that prevents pregnancy in any form commits a mortal sin. I don't remember being told that. This is why you commonly see Catholic families with what seems like 87 children. Divorce. Married Catholics cannot divorce. Even if a marital partner is abusive, cheating, or emotionally absent, divorce is considered a mortal sin. I want to say that that's bullshit. I remember being taught something about this. I mean, I specifically remember this lesson plan too. It was, I want to say junior high. It wasn't even like grade school or whatever. So it was in what I'm going to call the more conservative of the Catholic schools I went to, because junior high was like that. Elementary school and high school, not so much. And I want to say that there was a lesson plan about how, yeah, you weren't expected to stay for if there was abuse happening. You weren't expected to put your life in risk or the lives of your children in risk. In fact, it was your duty, your responsibility to not stay. So I'm pretty sure that that's what's taught in Catholicism. That is not Christianity, but divorce is considered mortal sin. This could explain why you see so many miserable couples remaining married in the Catholic Church. A miserable marriage most certainly won't affect the children and their well-being. Well, maybe that's why so many families in the Catholic Church are miserable and dysfunctional. Makes perfect sense. Masturbation. What is it? Oh my God, I forget. Some anti-vax page was referring to woman's clitoris as the devil's doorknob or doorbell, devil's doorbell. That's what it was. The Catholic Church thinks people that stroke one out are immature and incapable of self-control. Catholics are required to live chaste lives. Can you imagine how many teenage boys hide their socks from their moms? I'm pretty sure that it's not just Catholicism. I'm pretty sure it's not just Catholic boys hiding their fucking crusty ass socks from their mother. I'm just saying. That's gross. Heresy. If a baptized Catholic questions or denies any doctrine of the church, they commit heresy. Well, that sounds a little bit culty, doesn't it? Sure does. Members that question or doubt a revealed truth of the church are kept outside of heaven. Who was it? The prodigal son? I think that's a story. Not just about like questioning church or religious doctrine, but questioning like everything, basically. And they were welcomed back, right? I'm just saying. I mean, it is explicitly taught to Catholics that God gave us free will for a reason, because it's of the belief that no one should be pressured or forced or pushed into choosing anything that they don't want to choose. So, just saying. How do you even pronounce it? Schism? If you thought heresy was culty, schism takes things to the next level. Catholics must submit to the Pope no matter what. If a Catholic refuses to submit and obey the Pope, they commit a moral sin. Even if a Pope is doing crazy things like not protecting children from being a Catholic is not allowed to question him or disobey his orders. Pretty sure Jesus said in the Bible to protect the children. Just saying. Practicing magic. Got a cool card trick? Want to pull a rabbit out of a hat? If you are Catholic, practicing magic in any form is a ticket straight to hell. No. Practicing witchcraft and curses is a ticket straight to hell. A card trick, I'm pretty sure, is not a mortal sin. In fact, I'm almost positive that there's been quite a few church bazaars I've been to where they had tarot card readings. They had the machines that give you like your astrology information and shit. Yeah. So there's that. Pretty sure we even had magicians. Pretty sure. I know we had clowns. I think even a mime once, but now that should have been a mortal sin, but whatever. Hatred. Do you have a neighbor that pisses you off? Well, if you are Catholic, you are not allowed to hate them. If you wish the person harm, you can go to hell. Do you understand what I'm saying here? A Catholic's thoughts can send them to hell. No, they can't. Getting drunk. Did Jesus not turn water into wine? Tipping back one too many beers will send a Catholic straight to hell. The Catholic Church feels drunkenness is an endangerment to the life of the Catholic. Unfortunately, I know all too well that many Catholics commit this mortal sin every single weekend. I guess half of my dead ancestors are dancing in hell. Drug use. I want to say that there's some story somewhere in the Bible. It's highly suspected that it's told from a place, or it mentions consuming something that was hallucinogenic. Not sure. I I probably shouldn't even mention it because I'm not sure on that, but it's kind of stayed in the back of my head. But I have no idea where to even look that up. Catholics are prohibited from using drugs of any kind unless it's for medical reasons. I have a feeling there are a lot of Catholics in the world shaking in their boots with this revelation. Catholicism makes it pretty hard for their members to get to heaven. Based on the above list, I know very few people that could actually meet the mark. Heck, if you read the grand jury report released from Pennsylvania this week, cardinals, bishops, and priests are missing out on the afterlife. Since there is proof the cover up of child SA scandal went all the way up to the Vatican, even the Pope is missing out in heaven. It's possible. My guess is there is a Catholic heaven. The room is empty except for a dude named Jesus. Well, I think Peter would be there too, right? But, all right. Probably a few others, like Mother Teresa, maybe. No, she was kind of a bitch, I want to say, right? She was racist or some shit like that, I think. I don't know. I could be wrong. But yeah. And also, the way Catholicism look at it, and they expect every human to commit sins, even mortal sins. It's whether or not you show remorse and give penance and ask for forgiveness. That's what matters. That's what the Catholics care about. Because that's what I was taught. Did I just have a weird fucking Catholic upbringing? Like, I don't consider myself religious in nature, let alone Catholic. I have nothing against the Catholic Church or the faith or my church that I went to or any of it was a wonderful experience. As far as religion goes, I highly recommend the experience I had to any and everyone else. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I am the anomaly here. I don't know. I don't see how I'm that special though. Yeah, and didn't they even serve wine in fucking church? Like they did, right? I mean, Christ, in the Last Supper, they were breaking bread and drinking bloody wine or whatever, you know? I know, I get this whole story, but still, it was wine. You know, and then there's a whole, like I said, turning water into wine shit, you know? And I find it very strange. Minnesota Booyah that every Catholic buys from every fall from their local Catholic church. I have no idea what that is, but that sounds wonderful. Including aspirin. Apparently, yeah. See, that's the thing. What do you mean by drug use? Because medicine is considered drug use. They're considered drugs. So, do you mean just like narcotic, like mind altering drugs, or do you mean just anything that alters your body in any way or aids your body? You know. But I'm guessing she's referring to like narcotic, controlled substances, mind altering drugs, and medicines that would classify as under that. But those medicines, I don't think those medicines are really saving lives. I mean, I think they're saving quality of lives, sure. But I mean, like, no one's like gonna die if they don't, I don't know, take a codeine or something. You know what I mean? Or no one's gonna like die if they don't, I don't know, do half a ball or something. So I don't know. I find this all very peculiar. My internet thing. Do you guys can still see and hear me, right? Because the Wi-Fi thing keeps going up and down. But like, I don't know. I find it all very peculiar. I really do. All this shit with her grandfather and the whole thing of her not remembering it. I mean, it's just. And I asked the chat last night, I think it was, for a list of like stories she's covered and everything. And I'm not done putting everything together, but I'm gonna explain, or I think I'm gonna really put together a good show or whatever of what's going on here, and take it from there. But I don't know. I have tomorrow off though. Think I might have plans for my son during the day, but after that, I'll put it together. What is this though? All right, I'm not gonna get on this shit right now. Maybe another time. Oh, that's right. I want to read this. How long is this? Oh, it's not long at all. Okay. So Katie Joy used to have a website without a crystalball.com. I think she may have like repurchased the domain or something now, but this is the old one she had like years ago. This was from 2016. And so without a crystal ball, our journey through chronic illness. Okay, let me scroll over that. Sorry. Oh shit, no, that's gonna pull it up, is it, baby? I don't want to show that. I forgot his face was there. Oh shoot. Well, whatever. She's got it out there publicly. And he don't look like that now anyways. This was what, fucking back in 2016. See, it's why like I don't mind showing my kids pictures from 10 years ago or whatever, because they don't look like that now. But I'm not going to show them with them now without permission. So anyway, so How Parenting Changed Me by Katie Paulson, 78. No comments. February 21st, 2016. I think back to my youth, and I think of all the poor decisions I made. Reflecting on that time, I recall a young woman that was desperately seeking approval and acceptance. Growing up is really, really hard, and we learn really painful lessons that we carry like dead weight into our adulthood. No one really told me that decisions I made back then would be carried with me like dead weight on my shoulders. There are days I'm trudging through the world with an extra 50 pounds of baggage upon my shoulders. I don't believe in the whole adage when people say, I don't regret anything I've done. In fact, I regret a lot of the things I did in my youth. And if I could go back in time, there's so many things I would do over. Growing up, I think about the items I place the most value on. And I look at what has changed since becoming a mother. Prior to having my son, I was very much into having the nicest things. It made me feel valuable to be driving a nice car, have a nice home, and fill it with nice things. I found myself attaching my happiness to these things and would slowly build an ego that was full of itself and ugly. I worried needlessly about what I weighed, and there were days that it would be so obsessive I would weigh myself multiple times per day. Looking back at this, what I see is a deeply insecure young girl that lacked the self-esteem to know that self-worth was not found in things or size, but found in the content of your heart and how you carry yourself. I have a hard time believing that she came up with that sentence by herself. I digress. There was a deep emptiness in me that no car, item of clothing, or perfect weight could give me. I was lonely for so many reasons. Then I became a mother. Oops, why did it do that? The world exploded before my eyes, and I realized that spit up all over my face and hair was more valuable than an expensive car. Everyone said that I would never sleep again, and in the early days, that was very true. It is amazing how your body can adjust to only sleeping 3 to 4 hours at a time and still function without falling all over yourself. Who? Okay. Karaoke taught me that, okay? I for sure put milk in the cupboards and cereal in the fridge. There were definitely days I would run to the grocery store only to get there and forget every single item that I needed. In the mornings, as I prepared for work, I would often need toothpicks to keep my eyes open. And a IV of coffee straight to the veins would have been a great investment. I was dead tired. This was absolutely true. However, it was the most alive I had ever felt as a person. There was a tiny person relying on me for every single thing, and it would cry only for me. It was the biggest self esteem boost I ever received. And I finally realized that my purpose had led up to this moment. I was supposed to be Vaughn's mom. It hasn't been without challenges, but I would not change any of this for the world. All the nights in the hospital, up late day two hypoglycemia or an upset stomach, and giggles and cuddles would have been worth it. No longer do I find myself worried solely on my appearance, status, bank account, or what I have. In fact, I would give all I would give all it away for Vaughn. If I had to live in a paper box to keep my child safe, I would do it. I would walk away from everything and everyone for him. There's nothing I wouldn't do for him, and I'm certain that any parent feels the same for their child. Not only did mothering give me a sense of purpose, it also made me realize how much greater the world is than just me. It restored my faith in God. I realized that in order to be a better person, I needed to be doing better things. It was time to let go of my selfish ways and to become selfless in my drive and motivation. My son deserved to know about God, learn about Him, and love Him just as much as I do. By the time he was 2, I was searching for a church that he could grow up in. My desire to restore my faith and provide him faith as well changed my perspective and motivations immensely. I don't know that I don't know that if I would have been a parent, if I would have found my way back to God. I can't. Okay. Seeing the miracles he has worked in my child makes me certain he exists. There is nothing more powerful in this life than to know you are loved and not alone. I'm grateful daily that I have changed. It was important for me to let go of the superficial and to connect to what truly mattered. Becoming a parent has forced me to see life for what it is. Life is a beautiful, messy, dirty, fun, agonizing, and imperfect journey that we take from the day we are born. There are many distractions around us telling us what is important. However, what is really important is that you are loved and that you love. There's nothing more beautiful than that. And how you loved will be how you are remembered. I'm so grateful to have become a mother and so humbled that I now know what it truly means to live. I don't know. I found that stood out to me. I can't pull up any of these other things though because it's on the archives thing. So, anyway. So, that's it. That's what I had planned. I mean, she's written about this quite a bit. Like this is the writing that first introduced me to Katie, was the things that she wrote about what she was going through with as a mother with a child with medical needs. And I do think that a lot of the things that she shares is actually kind of ballsy. Like it's informative. And I think that a lot of parents, though I don't think most of them would admit to it, but I think a lot of parents have the same thoughts and feelings in similar situations. And I think that she kind of normalizes that. And I think that that's a good thing that she's done. Um, but yeah, that's about it. I think that's the extent of my, I don't know, my take on it anyways. All right, let me get over to chat. Yeah, I know, Maya. I know. Like I said, this was written in 2016. And and she's allowed to change her mind. She's allowed to, I think, just evolve and change her view on things as she evolves. I mean, we all are. The problem though, I think that people find with her is that she never gives she never she never cops to it. She instead expects everyone to just totally forget the previous stance she had and to just adopt the current stance and to only remember that as being her stance. She doesn't just cop to being wrong or even just by her judgment being wrong. It doesn't it's not she doesn't even have to admit to other people she was wrong. She doesn't even admit it to herself. Like that's I think the problem people have. And then when people just kind of just point out, oh, wait a minute, didn't you say this before? She then just fucking just blocks them. She doesn't talk to them about it. She doesn't explain her thought process, her her route, her travels to get to where she is now, from there to there. She just, fuck you for remembering that. But yeah. Yeah, and let me just say, I'm not getting on anyone's case about religion, what your views are in Catholicism. I don't really care what anyone thinks. As long as I look at it this way, I don't even care what your faith is. Like I told my kids several times through the years growing up, because I didn't really raise them in any faith. But I told them that if they wanted to pursue any faith they wanted, I would give them all the support, whatever it is they needed. The only time I would not do that is if their chosen faith caused themselves harm or caused them to harm other people. Because if your religion is doing that, then you're doing it wrong. That's all. And that's how I look at it for everyone. But all right, so yeah, that's pretty much where I wanted to start in this whole coverage of the latest Katie Joy's let's make everything about me. And you see, and the thing is, and the timing is of no coincidence either. It just isn't. I mean, um it isn't. It just isn't. I mean, she has this lawsuit with 7M going on, and regardless of what her posts say, that's not the way things are going. I mean, I don't know where things are going to go with this lawsuit, but she's not winning, as she puts it. Like, fucking Charlie Sheen over there with the tiger blood and shit. Like, that's not what's happening here. It's not. But I'm kind of curious if we'll hear or see anything from her family in the future, like in the near future. I don't support, I don't at all suggest, and I don't want to hear or know about anyone reaching out to her family, mind you. That's not something I'm going to do, and nor am I going to support, because I think they're well aware of Katie's antics by now. I don't even think anyone needs to remind them, tell them, show them, whatever. I think that they won't be surprised, really. Um, and if and when they want to speak out, then they will. If they don't, then they won't. Um, and that's where I'm leaving it. But I do think that we're going to hear something, if not directly, then indirectly, because I really do think that I think people talk in Hollywood, or in show business rather. And I think people have been talking. People among documentaries might be talking. I mean, look at how many people her antics have brought together on social media. Look at the subreddit. Look at how many people on Twitter, in these communities, or on YouTube, or in the Discord. How many people, just her being herself, have brought together. You know that that's got to be happening in other areas of life too, right? And I think that I don't know. I don't see how that's not happening, I guess. But on that note, I'm going to wrap it up. So good night, and I will be around tomorrow night. So thank you for being here. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.